Good evening, Venkat. Okay, as I told you, okay, today I will take the topic of measurement of national income, measurement of growth and inequality. Means this is the topic what I told you in the last class. Unfortunately, last class was not able to be completed because of technical glitches. So this is the topic which we are going to take today: measurement of growth. Right. So measurement of growth. I will discuss that topic today, and after the discussion, I will send the question. Right, I will send the question in the dedicated group for the students who are going to appear in tier 2 exam, means exam. Fine. And what you have to do, as I told you in the group also, I just want to clarify the thing. I told you कि I will check one copy per student, right? One copy per student. So I just want to clarify this thing very clearly, because see, in that group there are somewhere around how many students? There are 88 students, means 88 people are there. So 88 people, that means somewhere around 82 people, means I and Ashok ji is there. So total number of student is 86. And it is not possible for me to check the copy on daily basis. I tell you very clearly, it is not possible for me to evaluate the copy on daily basis of 86 student, right? So it is not possible for me. So what I have planned, that all these 86 students, what they did, they can send one of their copy, right? One of their copy, they can send it to me directly, direct to me, right? Direct to me in the form of PDF file. They can send it to me directly in the form of PDF file. That PDF file must have what? This format should be there. uh, Format of your answer. I'll post that thing in the group also, right? So name, mobile number, then question, then your answer, right? So you can write in that format and send it to me directly, right? You can send it to me directly. Okay, once you will send it to me directly, I will check that copy. I will put my remarks here and I will give you the marks. And after that, I will host a session with you either on the phone or through the Zoom, and I'll give you the feedback. These are the things you have to do in order to improve your answer writing. Right. So if I am going to do all these things, so it is not possible for me to engage more than 5 6 students or 10 students on daily basis. Right, because there are the huge number of the student. So this is why this is one time opportunity I am going to give you. You can write and submit. I will evaluate and I'll give you the feedback, right? And during the feedback session you can ask a direct question to me. Whatever other things you want to discuss with me, you can discuss with me, right? So that Zoom session will be 10 to 15 minutes Zoom session I'll give you. I will check your one copy, detailed feedback and marks, all things I am going to give you. So you can use or utilize that one session with me as per your requirement, need, whatever the questions, doubt you have in your mind. All these things I am going to address. But I'm going to do that thing once only for every student, right? So this is the thing you have to follow. Apart from that, you can post your answers in the group for the peer review and all these things. If you want, you can do that thing, right? And if I will find the time, I will give also my feedback on that answer if you are going to post in the group, right? You can go for the peer reviews also in the group which is created for you. All these things are possible. So few things you can also do on your own. What I am going to do, I will give the topic in the morning, I will discuss that topic in the evening, right? And I'll give the question. After the lecture, I'll post the question, and after posting the question, you can start writing that question and you can submit that answer so that I can go for evaluation. So when you are going to submit that answer to me directly, okay, so just mention that I want the review of this answer. So I will do the review. If you are not going to mention your name and mobile number, right, I'm not going to do that thing. Fine. So this is essential for that thing. Acha, one more thing. Apart from that thing, your roll number should be also there. Whatever is your roll number, you should also mention the roll number so that I can identify who is that person, right? And accordingly, I'll do that thing. Because multiple times it is not possible for me to engage you and myself, and for you also it is not good. Getting too many feedbacks, asking the same thing with a different person, it is not going to help. You must believe yourself first, and you have to choose one or two mentor who is going to help you for the particular thing. If you are going to ask to everyone, you will be always remain confused and you are not able to solve your problem. So this is one more thing. In the age of internet, where there is a bombardment of information and knowledge, students, people are confused what I should eliminate. Earlier there was a scarcity. When the internet it was not there, we have to spend 40 rupees per hour or half an hour, and 128 kbps was the speed. At that time there was a lack of information. Now there is a overload of information, right? Positive effect of inflation, mitigation of economic recession. There is no positive effect of inflation right now. There is only a negative impact of inflation, right? So there is nothing like a positive effect of inflation. In the present context, it is invalid question. You should not raise such kind of things in the present context, right? That is positive inflation always related to what? Always related to when economy is facing what? Recession, right? And there is no such kind of a recessionary situation. That is the situation when the production, employment, income, everything is low, but that was not a recession, right? That is not a classical recession like thing, right? So this question is valid. This question is valid, but this question is not valid in the present context, right? You cannot say that the situation world have faced during the COVID times, that was a recessionary phase. Right. Maybe some people are calling that recession, but that is not a recession because both side is having facing the same issue, and at the same time you are seeing uh, production, employment, income, consumption, savings, all are getting decreased. But at the same time, you also have seen high inflation, right? So high inflation is also there, and this situation is also there. So world is facing like stagflation like situation rather than recessionary like situation, right? So in this context, it is not a valid question, right? It's a classical question, right? So I will take this question, but not right now because this question need detailed explanation. I will take this question, okay, probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, when I will take the monetary policy and inflation related issue, I will take this question. Please remind at that point of time. Definitely, I will address your question in that part also. but not right now. Okay, government present all disaster as an opportunity. So this can be also twisted that way. Might be. No, absolutely not. See, you should not go for such kind of the outright criticism of the government, right? When you are writing an answer, until unless question itself have criticized the government's initiative, you should not go for that. It is undesirable thing, right? It is undesirable thing, and you are putting your opinion or a personal opinion of a public figure, right? Maybe that person is a renowned person, but that is his approach, his mindset, his point of view. When you are going to write, you have to see, you are going to work as a government person, right? For working for the RBI or working for the government of India, right? So your mind should be like a mindset of the bureaucrat who always accept those things as what a positive constructive criticism and then work on it, rather than going for destructive criticism, or in other words outright criticism, right? So outright criticism in your answer, it is highly undesirable. I will never recommend you can go for it. Maybe you can disagree with me, right? I'm not saying okay, I'm perfect person. Maybe you can disagree with me, but personally, I'm not going to suggest to use such kind of the outright criticizing word for the government. Not government of the day. It's not never about the government of the day. It is always about the government, right? And if you are going to do, you have to bring the constructive criticism, right? Now, so this was our topic: measurement of what? Measurement of growth, right? So measurement of growth. Generally, we do know that what we know that in for income calculation, right? Income calculation, or in the better word, national income calculation, the GDP methodology is used, right? GDP methodology is used, and it is considered as an indicator of what? Economic growth. It is considered as an indicator of economic growth, and tax to GDP ratio is also used to show rise and or fall in overall income, right? So basically the GDP methodology is used for the calculation of national income, right? But since this methodology is being used since then, the criticism of this methodology is also exist. Fine. However, during the 1970s, especially during the 1970s, the outright criticism that was based on the data and facts came into the picture. Then studies presented by Amartya Sen, Mehbubul Haq, and Angus Dayton, all these people have presented their studies in the decades of 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that show that the GDP focus of the government, right? The GDP focus of the government has given a positive result when we talk in terms of rise in overall income. So GDP, the positive thing with the GDP is there is a consistent rise in the overall income when we focus on increasing the GDP. But at the same time, there is a rise in income inequality, right? Income inequality. Okay, rise in the income inequality. And income inequality and poverty. These two things are one of the central problem for the economy, right? Especially in the context of the government, right? Two central problem: how to eradicate the poverty and how to minimize the income inequality. And most of the time, the income inequality is already correlated with the poverty thing also, right? During those lectures, I have explained you that poverty is of two kind. One is the absolute poverty and other is the relative poverty, right? So income inequality, growth measurement related issues, poverty, all these things are correlated. Means what? The content or data which we are going to discuss for the income inequality, that same kind of the context or the sorry not, there's the same data you can use for the questions related to poverty also, right? So the question which is going to be based on income inequality, or if that question, rather than using the income equality, using the term poverty, the content is going to be almost remain same. You have to just replace the word of income inequality with the poverty, right? But one more thing, when you are going to discuss about the poverty, right, you have to mention there, definitely there are the two type of the poverty. One is what? One is absolute, and other is what? Absolute poverty, and other is relative poverty. And relative poverty is more related to what? It is more related to income inequality, right? The relative poverty is more correlated to income inequality, but you can also use the income inequality in context of absolute inequality also, right? So these are the possible dimensions of the question. So what I just want to let you know here, if the question is going to be on poverty, if the question is going to on income inequality, the content of answer is going to be remain same. And today I am going to give you some latest data regarding to the income inequality, right? World Bank data and Oxfam data was there few months back, and that data was very good data in order to write a good answer, right? So I have compiled that recent data here in this one. I will share with you. Here you will get all these things, what are the relevant thing to write such kind of the question which is on income inequality and poverty. But just have a brief knowledge about income calculation and all these things, then I'll come to that point. So I was telling you the GDP methodology is being used, and GDP methodology is basically based on what? The concept given by whom? Simon Kuznets, right? And he has also given the Kuznets curve. According to that Kuznets curve, what will happen initially if we will take income inequality here, and income inequality we have taken on the x-axis, and rise in income on y-axis we have taken the income inequality and the income on the x-axis, right? So what he said that when country is going to focus on GDP, right, increasing the overall income, then initially income inequality is going to what? Increase, but after certain point of time that income inequality will starts decreasing, and that we know as what? Kuznets curve, right? We call it as a Kuznets curve. So when you are going to start an answer, right, which is going to be on income inequality, you can start with that. The GDP methodology is prevalently used all over the world in order to consider as a uh, as a methodology for income calculation, and governments do focus on the GDP, increasing the GDP in order to decrease the poverty and income inequality. However, over the years, we have seen that the Kuznets curve didn't work. Kuznets curve didn't work. So if you are going to mention the Kuznets curve didn't work properly, over the year, income inequality, either it is considerably growing, right, or it is being remain there, but it is not decreasing over the time as it was postulated by the Simon Kuznets, right. That is why some alternative methodology is required in order to decrease income inequality and poverty. So in that way, you can use the Kuznets curve reference there, right? So with this, you have started the answer with the GDP methodology, and you also criticize the GDP methodology. Now, what are the data or the documents in the favor of this statement कि Kuznets curve is not working? Then you have to present certain recent data, right? For example, here, if you will see that I have mentioned many things here. कि the recent, for example, India's share of the world's poorest, India's share of world's poorest is higher than its share of the world population, according to the World Bank data 2020. The World Inequality Report 2022 shows that while the has multiplied, domestic inequality is multiplied, global inequality between the countries have declined. Between two countries, inequality is declined. Means the gap between the rich country and a middle income country and the poor country, that gap is decreasing, right, over the years. But the inequality within the country, they have mentioned here, it is multiplied, right. For example, they have given the data, the gap in the average income richest 10% and the lowest 50% has narrowed from 50x to 40x. Means the gap between two rich and the poor one, it is going to decrease, right. Then they have mentioned the most equal region is Europe, then the least equal region is the Middle East, right. They have given the data for the world. If you want, you can ignore because that is going to be too much data. So if you feel that that is going to be too much data, you can ignore that data and directly focus on what data related to India. Now here they have mentioned the data related to India. The world's most extreme inequality has been observed where? In India. And how they said that? They said that according to this report, top 10% of the country's population account 57% of the national income, and of which 22% held by top 1%. Now you can understand this data only when you have the idea of what? Lorentz curve. If you do not have an idea of Lorentz curve, it is impossible for you to understand what they are saying. Lorentz curve is what? Lorentz curve is a curve. Just give me a minute. So income and population is being taken here. So 100% population. So from poor to rich, right? So poor to rich. So if that curve is like this, it is showing that this part of the population, somewhere around 80% population hold only 20% income, and rest of the rich population of 20%, they hold 80% of the income. So in that context, Laffer curve was explained by the Arthur Laffer. And while using that curve, they have mentioned the top 10% of country's population account 57%. So this curve is going to be in that manner कि only 10% of population of India, they hold 57% of total wealth of this country. Right. So this is very good data which you can use in your answer. Whether you are going to write an answer on poverty, whether you are going to write answer on income inequality, you can precisely use this data, right, in order to exaggerate that ki how India unequal is, right. Then they have mentioned that ki while a small section of Indian population enjoy the five-star privileges, the bottom 50% sustainable of life is still challenge, right. So the small section, that means that 10% of population have all the luxuries, whereas because that 10% accounts 57% of the wealth, so remaining 47% of wealth is distributed. See what they are mentioning here, 10% is holding how much, 57% of the wealth. That means remaining wealth, that is 43%, that is held by which population, that is held by remaining 90% population. So the remaining 90% population in India holds only 43%, and 57% is held by top 10% population of the India. That's why the huge population is still suffering for what? Sustainable thing like food, shelter, health things, all these things, they are still struggling for that. And then they have given what is the impact of COVID pandemic on this income inequality and poor thing. So they have given the data and they have mentioned that the pandemic has severely affected the poor and hurt the middle class in terms of loss of accumulated wealth and savings, right. There is a debate on whether the pandemic has caused the reduction in the equality, right. So pandemic has caused the reduction in the inequality, there is a debate, but that debate, while they are mentioning, while the most of the reports suggested inequality has risen because of rise in the poverty and shrinking of the middle class, the report prepared by whom? National Bureau of Economic Research shows that the decline in the inequality. So National Bureau of Economic Research, it is saying that inequality has been decreased. Right, the income inequality has been decreased. How they are saying this thing? Just they are saying this thing. Suppose that this is the line which is showing the income of rich, right? Income income of rich, right? And this is the income of what? Income of poor, right? So this is the difference. This is the difference before pandemic, right. So this is the difference. Now as per National Bureau of Economic Research, that difference has been decreased. So why it is being decreased? According to them, actually what happened during the pandemic, the income of both is the middle class income and the poor income, both income is decreased, income of both is decreased. So now the rich one have this amount of income and the poor one have this amount of income. Earlier they have this level of income, right? Now they have this level of income, and because of that low income, the difference between these two is relatively decreased, right? This is difference A, and now this is difference B. So because the income of both is being decreased, that's why there is what? The gap between rich and poor is decreased according to National Bureau of Economic Research. So they are saying that inequality is being declined, and it is mentioned here. This is because Indians in the higher percentile of income distribution saw larger relative income decline. So these people who are having in the middle income group or upper middle income group, their income has declined substantively. So that is why the difference between these two groups has been declined, and that's why the National Bureau of Economic Research, they are saying that the difference or income inequality is declining. But most of the reports all over the world, in fact in India, they are suggesting what? There is a rise in the inequality. See the Oxfam report. Oxfam report is also saying that the billionaires' fortune has increased tenfold over the decade and their total wealth now higher than outlay of Union Budget 2018-19. So whatever the total outlay of Union Budget 2018-19, as per Oxfam report, the top richest billionaire of India, they have more wealth than the total outlay of Union Budget 2018-19. So these are some striking facts. If you are going to mention these striking facts when you are writing an answer on the poverty and inequality, then definitely the person who is going to evaluate your answer, he is going to have this belief कि yes, student not only just have a static knowledge or data, he also have the dynamic data in his mind, and he deserves the good answer, sorry, good marks, right? So this is going to what, this is going to work for you. Okay, and after that they have given some lessons from abroad in that article, and they have mentioned that the rising inequality linked to the slower economic growth. Rising inequality is linked to the slower economic growth. But if you will see the five Nordic countries, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden are among the most equal in the world. On the variety of the criteria, it makes sense to look them for the guidance on how they create more equal society. So if you will see the economic growth factor, so economic growth factor, it is always said that economic growth is going to what? It is going to pacify, means it is going to increase the overall income distribution, but that is not true. High economic growth rate does not guarantee a good distribution also, right? Example are these Nordic countries who do not have very high economic growth rate. They have moderate, low to moderate, or even sometimes average growth rate. They never have very high growth rate over the decades, but still they are able to do what? They are able to do the social justice. They are able to distribute the income evenly in their society. So they must be considered as a model rather than considering US economic growth rate, Chinese economic growth rate, Indian economic growth rate as a model. We have to take these Nordic countries as a role model. What they did, we have to follow. Otherwise, most of the time, for example, in Indian policy parlance, you can see that China implemented the exclusive economic zone policy, so we are also going to implement that. China have very good infrastructure, so we are trying to match up with them with the proper infrastructure. So either China or it is US or it is Britain, Germany, all these being considered as what? An role model for rising economy like India when they want to go for economic growth. We never take these Nordic countries as an example. So they are suggesting that we must take these countries as an what? Role model if we want to decrease the income inequality in our society and country also. The same thing you can suggest in your answer also, right? So they further mention that Nordic countries have attained a higher level of welfare and equality. This is due to, first they have given about the Nordic countries. Now they are mentioning this is due to strong focus on social solidarity, taxation, higher spending on education and healthcare. Unlike most other nations, these countries offer free higher education to their citizens and have a creative education system. Right. So education system. So suppose the question is on education related issues, right? So you can connect both things ki how the higher education or how the quality education is also an essential thing in order to decrease poverty and income inequality, right? So this is the thing which you can use not only while writing on the income inequality, not only writing on the poverty, but if the question which is related to the role of education, right? For new example, if the question will come on the new education policy, so you can suggest that thing ki the higher education, government must have to try to provide easy terms higher education or the free higher education to most part of the society in order to make society more justifiable, right? So this is what. And then Thomas Piketty. Thomas Piketty is a renowned, you can say, he's not Marxist, but he tried to justify what Marx said. That means he do not want to say that ki Marx was completely right. What solution he has provided, but he is a kind of person who is trying to suggest what Marx said, that is quite true, but Marx's solution is not good. How Marx has identified the problem, that was right, but the solution is not good. So Thomas Piketty is one of the prominent economists in the present era, right? In last decade, his two works are very prominent and one of the best sellers, right? And he mentioned that over a long period of time, the main force in the favor of greater equality has been diffusion of knowledge and skills. Diffusion of knowledge and skills. Uh, just give me a minute. I have to make this call. Please give me a second, huh? So sorry for the interruption. Acha, okay. Manas Jyoti Talukdar, not criticizing but thinking of the possibility of the question. Anyways, understood. Okay. Vikul, good evening, sir. One question to ask: had RBI sent any biodata form from last year, this year? They will. Vikul, please don't ask me such kind of the questions. Right. I don't have too much idea about all these things. I am a kind of person who is focused in that what if you have any question related to that thing, please ask me. I'll give you the answer. All other things directly move to whom? Ashokji. He is going to explain all these things. I'm not supposed means I do not have an idea, my dear. I'm sorry for that. So Thomas Piketty, you can ignore, right? But if you are not able to remember the quote, what quotation he have mentioned, this is one of the common problems. Sometimes students do ask, sir, I know that there is a person he have quote something, but I'm not able to recall the entire words. But still, I want to write. So it doesn't matter if you are not going to write the exact words what he said. Again, it's absolutely fine. But that must be related to that person only to whom you are going to mention. For example, what happened? One student he wrote an essay, and in that essay, according to Gandhi, four times he mentioned according to Gandhi. So I just got okay, if he's mentioning according to Gandhi, because I have studied Gandhi also, right? So according to Gandhi, then I got this suspicion. No, Gandhi didn't say such kind of the thing. How he can mention that? So I searched that thing on the internet, and I found that neither in the internet nor in Gandhian philosophy, even not by the Gandhian philosopher, they never said that thing. So I just asked him, ki, what the nonsense you are doing? Why you are mentioning Gandhi? Gandhi never said that things. He said, no, sir, he said that. I said, show me the source from where you have copied. So then he said that, ki, okay, I'll show you, sir. So I again poked him, ki, no, tell me in the next class. And again, next class, I asked him, ki, show me. So he said that, ki, no, sir, actually, I thought that ki, nobody is going to cross check it. So that's why I have mentioned ki, according to Gandhi. So that's why you have to be a little bit careful. Do not use that random kind of the thing. Maybe that person, you are going to use the Thomas Piketty and you are thinking that he may don't know about the Thomas Piketty. But I'm mentioning here as a renowned economist Thomas Piketty. So he will get this idea ki okay, the name mentioned here is renowned economist, and he maybe say that. But if you are going to write, for example, I have an idea ki what is the theme of Thomas Piketty's writing. So if you are going to out of his theme and you are going to write something which is not related to Thomas Piketty, I will immediately pick that and I will feel that ki you are doing the bluffing. And bluffing is never accepted by the person who is going to check your copy. So please keep that thing in your mind very clearly. Do not bluff, because if it is being caught, you will be perished, right? Especially that person who is going to check the copy, he feel offended actually. The person who are going to check the copy, उनके दिमाग में फिर सीधे यही आता है कि मेरे को तुमने बेवकूफ समझ के मैं रखा हुआ है, बताता हूँ मैं अभी तुमको, रुको. So this is the kind of feeling will come. I have seen many instances, not only with me. When I do evaluate the copy, I have seen many other people who check the copy whenever I have a good conversation with the professors of particular university, whenever I'll get the opportunity. So this issue I bring directly or indirectly. So they also have the same kind of the feeling. So please do not do the bluffing in the answers, and also not in the interview. But interview we will discuss it later. Right now this thing. So Thomas Piketty, you can write that ki renowned economist. If you are not able to recall all these words, you can mention that ki even the one of the renowned economists, Thomas Piketty, also emphasized the role of knowledge in order to eradicate poverty and income inequality. So here, over the long period of time, the main force in favor of greater equality has been diffusion of knowledge and skill. So in other words, you can mention that, and you can mention the name of Thomas Piketty, right? So in that way, you can do that. Okay, now this is the most important part of this article, the way forward for India. What will be the way forward for India? They have suggested that evidence has suggested that expenditure on healthcare, education, social safety reduces the inequality. How it is reduces the inequality? They are saying that, for example, if government invest in free and high quality of public services, poor people would not have to spend on them and allow them to save money. For example, you know that at one time we are not spending properly on healthcare. This is the fact. But at the same time, another fact is what Indians spend highest out of the pocket. Out of the pocket health expenditure. What it means that? It means that ki, for example, small things you have to go to the hospital, and for that you have to spend a lot of money, right? For example, private nursing homes, right? So because the situation in the government owned or government run hospitals is not very good, people are forced to take the services of nursing home and small hospitals, local level hospital, and there they have to pay the exorbitant amount of money, right? And that's why their out of the pocket spending is very high, right? In fact, it is highest in the world. So this is the irony. So if government is going to spend a lot of money on the healthcare, then people definitely need not to what? Then people definitely need not to spend that money on what? Then definitely they need not to spend that money on their out of pocket kind of the expenditure. They can spend that money which they are spending as a out of pocket expenditure. They can spend that money on what? On the quality education and other benefits. In fact, they can also save that money and they can do certain investments, right? It is also essential for the government to spend more on research and development and innovation, right? This is what they are suggesting. Another way forward could be directly reducing the income disparity by taxing the wealthiest people more, right? Super rich people, so there should be Robin Hood tax, right? So the tax name is Robin Hood tax. Why Robin Hood? Why? Because Robin Hood is a kind of a person who take things from the richest people and he is going to distribute among the poor people. So Robin Hood kind of the tax you can suggest in your answer, and it is going to be little bit more fancy if you are going to mention the Robin Hood tax rather than just mentioning what? More taxing on the wealthiest, right? And France was the one of the first country who introduced the Robin Hood tax, right? So you can mention the Robin Hood kind of the tax can be introduced in the system in order to get more money in the form of tax from the super rich people, and that money should be spent on the same time on what? Public services. If you want to show your more skill, you can mention that the Robin Hood tax must be collected from the super rich people in form of what? Public services cess. I told you there are the two kind of the tax on tax. One is what? One is surcharge and other is cess. When you are collecting tax on tax with focus on particular spending, Swachh Bharat cess, that means the money collected in the form of cess, it is going to be spent on what? Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So similarly, if you are going to implement the Robin Hood tax in terms of public services cess, then the money collected from the super rich people is going to spend only on the maintaining and extending the public services in the country. So in that way, it is going to be what? It is going to be beneficial, right? Providing another suggestion they have given, providing more tax benefit to those companies that share more of their profit with their employees can also help in the mitigation of the disparity of the income. Right. So in that way, you can also suggest this thing. This imperative that the India frees itself from the shackles of income inequality so as to ensure the prosperity across the all economic classes. Right. So in that way, you can suggest. So these suggestions are equally good for the poverty, equally good for what? Income inequality. You can mention simultaneously, means in both questions you can use this information, right? So if you have any doubt or question in this regard, please ask me. Way forward, and I told this thing in the last class also. Intro, body, in conclusion. This part should go for 10 to 15% weightage, and this portion 15 to 20% weightage. That's it, right? So this is going to be the distribution of your words. Suppose that if it is a 400 words answer, so your introduction must be around some 40 to 50 words, right, or 40 to 60 words. Similarly, your conclusion should be going to be in two paragraph, right? The conclusion is going to have in two paragraph, where you can go for somewhere around 80 to 90 words you have to write, right? 80 to 90 words you have to write. So if you are going to write somewhere around 80 to 90 words, so one paragraph can be of 50 words, and another paragraph is going to be of 30 to 35 words. In that way you can distribute, and rest of the thing you have to write in what? The body of the answer. Anything else regarding that? Any other question? See, way forward is never in what? Way I have given in the points, I have given you in the points so that it will be clearly visible for you. But way forward in the answer, it's never, end of the answer should not be in the points. Always keep this thing in your mind. The ending line of your answer must not be ending when you are going to wind up your answer, when you are going to introduce your answer. If you are going to put those things in the what, the point form, it is means it's a bad looking answer, right? It's bad looking answer. You should not do that thing, right? It's like two people are going to have an argument, right? Ki number one, number two, number three, number four. It should not be like that. It should be the proper presentation. Here, for your clarity, I have put those things in the point, right? But not for you. You should write your answer points only when in the body part, not in the introduction part, and not in the conclusion part or way forward part. Okay, so this topic I have discussed. Today I have taken only one topic, but tomorrow I'm going to take two to three topics, and I'll take 1.5 hour class, or if required, I will take the 2 hour session. And I'll request to all of you to come and join in that session, so that it's going to be more productive for all of you. I understand that this is the high time to prepare, right? So I'll just request you ki structure your overall day schedule in such a way, so that at this point of time you can find more time to have an interaction with me on those topics. So that is going to be a brush up plus a good point interaction between you and me, right? And again I'm going to repeat that thing, ki how I am going to interact with the students regarding their answers. You can submit that answer to me directly, right? In the PDF form you have to mention your name, your roll number, and your mobile number. I will going to evaluate that answer once means one copy per student. I am going to do that thing, and after that I will put the remarks, and then after putting the remarks I will contact you if it is possible over the phone, or if it is possible over the Zoom. I'll give you the time, you can have a one-to-one discussion with me. So that one-to-one discussion, one-to-one feedback, once for every student, right? For 86 students who are in that group, I'll do that thing. Even that is a means big work for me, but I'll do that thing, because since beginning I'm making this promise, I'll do that thing. ओके सो अरे रोल नंबर मेरा थोड़ी ना डालोगे भाई, अपना रोल नंबर डालोगे जो तुम्हारे एग्जाम का रोल नंबर है। और कौन सा रोल नंबर? तुम क्या बात करते हो भाई? रोल नंबर का मतलब व्हाट रोल नंबर मींस योर रोल नंबर ऑफ क्रैक मींस आरबी का जो एग्जाम है ग्रेड बी का। और कौन सा रोल नंबर? हाई स्कूल का रोल नंबर थोड़ी ना लिखना है। if you people are going to write an answer and it is encouraging, then I'm not going to feel tired, right? The only constraint is last 1.5 month I am facing a lot of issues in throat. So speaking again and again, that may be kind of a challenging for me, but I'll do that because I love that thing. So it's not a big issue. I'll do that thing. Okay. So today I'm winding this session right now. I will post the question in next half an hour. I will post the question in the group. You can attempt that question, and if you want evaluation from me, then send it to me. If you do not want evaluation right now, after few days, then you can wait and send it to me later. Whatever the question. Daily, I will post one question. So two options are for you. Either you can send it to me, so I'll evaluate and I'll give the feedback. But after that, I will not do it for you. I will take the responsibility for other students. In that case, you can post your answer in the group for the peer review, right? And all of you are encouraged to go for peer review. It is going to help each and everyone, right? The qualitative kind of the content will be available for all those students who are going to appear for this tier 2. Okay. Vikul, I and Ashokji both are worried for that, and we are trying to resolve that issue as soon as possible. Don't worry, the English and management, both things we are trying, right? Both things we are trying at our best level, and very soon you are going to get those things. Okay, no need to worry. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you.